Week 5 is in the books, which means it's All-Star break time. But first, your TBL News rundown of the week that was, in alphabetical order. Let's do it to it. Marc-Andre Fortin, Tyrell Gums-Frater, and Lansana Nawato all scored over 20, while Daniel Gonzalez-Langarella had 18 and 19 in L'Académie Alma's 115-103 upset over the now third-place Patroons on Saturday. But then Alma fell 110-107 to Jamestown on Sunday. Speaking of those 8-2 Albany Patroons, they beat the defending NBLC champion London Lightning 96-91 on Friday, before falling to Alma on Saturday 115-103. They're now in third in the Northeast behind Atlantic City and Syracuse. And speaking of the Atlantic City Gambits, they beat York on Friday 121-95 and then beat Virginia Valley 108-96 on Saturday to move into first place in the Northeast. The Bakersfield Majestics beat Wenatchee on Saturday 102-98 but fell to San Diego 105-97 on Sunday. The Central Florida Force lost 138-117 to Coastal Georgia on Friday. The Charlotte Purple Jackets lost twice this weekend, first to the first place Georgia Soul on Friday 117-110, and then to the second place Raleigh Firebirds on Sunday. The Cincinnati Warriors lost in a heartbreaker 114-113 to Medora on Saturday on account of a Dylan Coswell buzzer beater. The Coastal Georgia Buccaneers beat Central Florida 138-117 on Friday behind 30 points and 12 rebounds from DeMonte Wright, 26-13 from Kejante Houston, and 25 points from Leandre Christie. The Bucs won again on Sunday 130-116 over Gulf Coast. Wright posted 26 and 17. Houston added 24 and 10. Christie scored 26, and Jordan Parks was the high man with 32 and 11. The Derby City Distillers visited Newfoundland on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, winning the first matchup 100-96, but then dropping the next two 111-94 and 124-96. The Enid Outlaws led the now formerly first-place Wichita Sky Kings at the break, but wound up losing in a close one 99-94 on Friday. On Sunday, the Enid Outlaws, beat Rockwall 116-75 behind 24 from Caleb Coleman. Rockwall's 75 points marked the second lowest output by a TBL team this season. The Fayetteville Stingers got the weekend off, while the Flint United fell to Kalamazoo 115-106 on Friday and 134-78 to the NBLC's Windsor Express on Sunday. The Georgia Soul extended their lead in the Southeast with a 118-109 win over Raleigh on Friday behind 29 and 10 from Christopher Washington, and then turned around and beat Charlotte on Saturday 117-110. Georgia now has a 3-game lead over Raleigh in the conference as we hit the All-Star break. The Glass City Wranglers broke Kalamazoo's hearts again as Chris Darrington scored 47 on Thursday and stunned the Galaxy's home crowd with another miraculous buzzer beater to lift his Wranglers to a 99-98 win. Darrington would rest on Sunday, but that didn't stop Glass City from earning yet another victory at the last moment as Jonathan Brown hit a rainbow with .9 on the clock to knock off West Virginia 109-107 on Saturday. Alexander Heath scored a team-high 26. The Gulf Coast Lions lost their only game of Week 5, 138-122 to Coastal Georgia. The Huntsville Hurricanes lost on Friday to St. Louis 115-102, but rebounded to beat Kentucky 141-132 on Sunday behind 26 and 9 from Dallas Jones. The Jamestown Jackals had a big weekend, beating the second-place Stallions on Saturday 110-107, and then beating Alma, also 110-107 on Sunday. The Kalamazoo Galaxy lost the aforementioned heartbreaker thanks to Chris Darrington's buzzer beater, stop me if you've heard that one before, on Thursday 99-97. But rebounded to beat Flint on Saturday, 115-106. Kalamazoo's Chad Jordan Bowie led all scorers with 29 and hit a buzzer beater of his own to send the Galaxy into the half with a 56-48 lead before ultimately claiming the win. Kentucky lost both of their Week 5 matchups in high-scoring affairs, first to Medora, 134-126 on Friday, and 141-132 to Huntsville on Sunday. The Bobcats beat Lebanon on Friday, 114-92, behind 23 from Larry Plummer, and then beat West Virginia on Sunday by a score of 117-90, behind 27 from Derek Hawk Hawthorne. The aforementioned Lebanon Leprechauns only had one game in Week 5, falling to Kokomo 114-92. Your All-Star Weekend hosts, the Lehigh Valley Legends, lost a closely contested game against Syracuse 115-112 on Friday and lost again on Sunday to the streaking Reading Rebels 118-86. The Little Rock Lightning played 3 games in Week 5. They won their first over Pearland 117-111 on Friday, but lost 106-86 to Wichita on Saturday and 120-97 to Shreveport on Sunday. The Long Beach Blue Waves won their only Week 5 game, beating the West Coast Breeze 131-111. Mark Carter scored 21 in the win. The Medora Timberjacks bounced back from a 4-game skid to win twice in Week 5. They beat Kentucky 134-126 on Friday and used Dylan Coswell's buzzer beater to beat Cincinnati 114-113 on Saturday. The Montreal Tundra fell to Reading on Friday, 106-87, but turned around to beat the York Mighty Ants on Saturday, 111-84. The Rogues from Newfoundland played 3 games against the Derby City Distillers in Week 5. They dropped the first on Wednesday, 100-96, and won the next 2, 111-94 and 124-96 on Friday and Saturday. Owensboro won their only game of Week 5, defeating St. Louis 97-93 on Saturday. The Pearland Texas Warriors lost their only game of Week 5 to Little Rock, 117-111. Potawatomi took back first place in the increasingly fascinating and competitive Central with 2 wins in Week 5. A triple-double from perennial MVP candidate Deshaun Munson carried the day in a 131-106 victory over Shreveport on Friday. On Sunday, in the biggest matchup of the week, Potawatomi edged Wichita 119-117 in a fantastic basketball game. Munson had 23 and 14, while his backcourt mate Chuck Guy had 24 points and 9 assists. The Raleigh Firebirds lost to Georgia 118-109 on Friday, but beat the Purple Jackets 105-91 on Sunday. The Reading Rebels have now won 6 straight games to make things mighty interesting in the also increasingly fascinating and competitive Northeast. In Week 5, they beat Montreal 106-87 on Friday. They beat Tri-State 128-122 on Saturday. And they beat Lehigh Valley 118-86 on Sunday. Richard McCallop scored 39 in the win over the Legends. Rockwall beat the Oklahoma Panthers 112-105 on Friday, but fell to the Enid Outlaws 116-75 on Sunday. The Salem Capitals fell to Vancouver 117-109 on Saturday, and came up just short against the first-place Superhawks on Sunday, losing 107-105. The San Diego Sharks lost to South Bay 110-101 on Saturday, but turned around to beat Bakersfield 105-97 on Sunday. The first-place Seattle Superhawks, Gary Payton's favorite TBL team, beat Vancouver 133-105 on Friday and won again by a score of 107-105 on Sunday over the Capitals. Seattle is now 8-1 with a half-game lead over Long Beach for best in the West. The defending TBL champion Shreveport Mavericks lost to Potawatomi on Saturday, 131-106, but beat the Lightning 120-97 on Sunday behind Tyrone Jordan's season-high 30 points. The South Bay Flash fell to the Bighorns on Friday, 117-93, but beat the Sharks 110-101 on Saturday. The now Oklahoma Panthers lost to Rockwall 112-105 in their only Week 5 game. The St. Louis Griffins beat Huntsville 115-102 on Friday, but lost to the Thoroughbreds 97-93 on Saturday. The Syracuse Stallions were down 12 heading into the fourth against your All-Star 2023 hosts, the Lehigh Valley Legends, but came back to win 115-112. Trayvon Broadway had 27, Christian Nobles had 26, and Jaquan Newton had 25. But Syracuse would fall to Jamestown 110-107 on Saturday. The Tri-State Admirals lost to those streaking Reading Rebels 128-122 on Saturday, and then lost again to the Atlantic City Gambits, the first place Atlantic City Gambits that is, on Sunday 106-92. The Virginia Valley Vipers lost to those first place Gambits on Saturday 108-96, but then won their matchup with York on Sunday 110-96. The Wenatchee Bighorns played 3 games in Week 5. On Friday, they beat South Bay 117-93. On Saturday, they lost to Bakersfield 102-98. And on Sunday, they played the West Coast Breeze, a game which was determined by a score of 132-119 in favor of the Wenatchee Bighorns. The Breeze lost on Friday 131-111 to Long Beach. The West Virginia Grind lost in the waning moments to Glass City 109-107 on Saturday, and then fell to Kokomo 117-90 on Sunday. Wichita got 30 points and 15 rebounds from Teddy Buckets Allen in a 99-95 victory over Enid on Friday. They beat Little Rock 106-86 on Saturday and fell to Potawatomi despite 37 more from Teddy Buckets on Sunday. 119-117 was the final score in that one. The loss to Potawatomi moved Wichita back into second place in the Central, a game back of the Fire in the loss column. And last but certainly not least, the Ants, the mighty Ants of York, that is, went marching into Atlantic City on Friday and lost 121-95. They returned home on Saturday, but fell to the visiting Montreal Tundra 111-84. That's Week 5 in the books, TBLers, with 7 more weeks left to play. But first, we'll see you this weekend in Allentown. I'll be standing there in Allentown, where the Lehigh Valley Legends will host TBL All Star Weekend 2023. As we head into the break, we see thrilling races for conference crowns all across this great league. In the Northeast, Atlantic City leads with a record of 9-1, followed by Syracuse at 7-2, Albany at 8-2, and the surging Reading Rebels at 7-2. In the Southeast, the Georgia Soul became the first team in the league to reach double digits in the W column, as they hold a 3-game lead over the second-place Firebirds with a record of 10-1. In the upper Midwest, the Kokomo Bobcats have a half-game lead over the Cardiac Kids from Toledo. Kokomo is 9-2, Glass City is 9-3. In the lower Midwest, the Huntsville Hurricanes are 8-2. The second-place Timberjacks are 6-3. In the Central, Potawatomi took back the top spot. They now sit at 8-1, just ahead of the 9-2 Sky Kings and 7-2 Mavericks. In the West, Seattle maintains a half-game lead on Long Beach. The Superhawks are 8-1, and the Blue Waves are 7-1. Kentucky's Cameron Mitchell continues to lead all TBL scorers, averaging 36.6 points per game. Chris Darrington is putting in a shade under 33 a game, good for second in TBL. Gulf Coast's Terrell Wilson is averaging 32 even. Of course, bolstered by his sensational Week 3 performance against Coastal Georgia, which saw him break the all-time TBL single-game scoring record with 65. Little Rock's Purcell Washington is your league's leading rebounder at the All-Star break, hauling in an average of 13.5 boards a night. Owensboro's Montel James comes in second in rebounding with 13.3 per game. And Potawatomi's Deshaun Munson, yes, a 6'4" guard, is on the rebounding podium, snatching 12.9 boards a game. Nobody drops more dimes per game than Potawatomi's Chuck Guy, who averages 9. Atlantic City's Brandon Taylor, Huntsville's Frederick Sturdivant Jr., and Vancouver's Martin Adams all average 2 blocks a game to lead the league. Virginia Valley's Arze Culbreth averages 4.3 steals per game to lead the league. And Trayvon Broadway retains this podcaster's vote for the best name in the basketball league, which may or may not have to do with my predilection for George Benson cover songs. That's your Week 5 rundown from the TBL News Desk. Follow TBL News Official on Twitter and Instagram. That's at TBL News Official. And read the articles over at tblnews.co. Leave off the last M for me oh my, it's All Star Weekend in Lehigh. And of course, catch TBL News, the video pod, where you can match the soothing tones pulsing through your speakers with what some consider to be a face. On tbltv.tv. TBL News out. Be kind. Rewind.